Kundalini, Healing, Awakening, Yoga, and Meditation Secrets, written by Stephanie White. Narrated by Kip Ferguson. Introduction. The word Kundalini is derived from Sanskrit, kund, which intends to burn, and kunda, which intends to curl or to be winding. It is frequently depicted as the primordial dormant energy present in 3.5 coils at the base of the spine in a triangular bone called the sacrum. Kundalini is generally exhibited as sexual energy that is with us from birth in either a showed or unshowed shape. It is said that as one advances through life, Kundalini turns out to be progressively blocked and redirected from its typical way through molding and behavioral examples that one retains intentionally and unknowingly. Kundalini alludes to a type of crude energy, or Shakti, said to be situated at the base of the spine. Author Joseph Campbell depicts the idea of Kundalini as the figure of a coiled female serpent, a serpent goddess, not of gross but rather subtle substance, which is to be thought of as living in a lethargic, sleeping state in an unobtrusive focus. The first of the 7 close to the base of the spine, the point of the yoga at that point being to awaken the serpent, lift her head, and bring her up an unpretentious nerve or channel of the spine to the purported 1,000-petal lotus, Sahasrara, at the crown of the head. She, ascending from the most reduced to the most elevated lotus focus, will go through and wake the 5 between, and with each waking, the brain, science, and identity of the specialist will be out, and out on a very basic level changed. Shakti, Sanskrit control, in Hinduism, the energy of a goddess. Each male god is said to have his Shakti, the encapsulation of his own potencies, communicated through his partner, and each person has a Shakti, in spite of the fact that ladies have more than men. The name Shakti is used for the preeminent goddess herself, said to have been made by the converging of the considerable number of forces, Shaktis, transmitted by the male divine beings who required her to slaughter the buffalo demon Mahisha. As the god of Tantric Hinduism, Shakti is worshipped at shrines, said to have emerged from the parts of her dismantled cadaver. The chakras are thought about as central focuses, where mystic powers and real capacities converge with and interface with each other. Among the gathered 88,000 chakras in the human body, 6 noteworthy ones found generally along the spinal string and another found simply over the crown of the skull are of central significance. Every one of these 7 noteworthy chakras, in Buddhism 4, is related with a particular shading, shape, sense organ, characteristic component, divinity, and mantra, monosyllabic petition equation. The most imperative of these are the least chakra, Muladhara, situated at the base of the spine, and the most noteworthy, Sahasrara, at the highest point of the head. The Muladhara circles a secretive heavenly power, Kundalini, that the individual endeavors, by yogic methods, to raise from chakra to chakra until the point that it comes to the Sahasrara, and self-brightening comes about. This will be clarified better in this book. A plenty of books have been written on this topic. Additionally, numerous researchers have completed a considerable measure of research papers, diaries, and web articles as respects Kundalini and the goddess. I am not establishing disputable framework on this, but rather to approach the issue from nature's point of view, keeping in mind the end goal to help us to recognize those numerous realities and falsehoods which can be found in the web, and to take after our intrinsic and reason. We require an improvement. Some broad perspectives on Kundalini and Tantra Yoga. Kundalini exists in each individual as an essential power. Its activity varies. If it becomes active, then, according to Tantra Yoga, it awakens, depending on the chakra through which it is activated, distinctive capabilities. Here, it is prudent to acquire capacities which give us more profound experiences into the idea of the person. This is the goal of the greater part of the different Tantra Yoga rehearses in every one of its varieties, like Kundalini Yoga, Kriya Yoga, and so forth. After Tantra Yoga, Kundalini itself isn't puzzling. However, its awakening and the improvement of uncommon capacities to which Kundalini opens access is very well mysterious. The belief in Kundalini rises above relatively every convention of man, despite the fact that there are distinctive structures in which it is being alluded to. The Japanese call it ki, while the Chinese call it chai, and in the Christianity religion it is alluded to as the Holy Spirit. Kundalini can be characterized as the energy of one's consciousness, energy of the self. In Hinduism, Kundalini is alluded to as the mystic or enormous energy which lies idle in the vast majority. It is once in a while related to Shakti, the great goddess, who is likened with divine energy. When it is idle, the Kundalini is ventured to lie curled like a snake, Kunda implies coiled, at the base of the spine, yet it can, in this manner, be raised through a progressive procedure upwards by the utilization of the spine, utilizing diverse contemplation systems which include different postures, purification practices, ritual gestures, and regulated breathing. Kundalini is a well-known word to all students of yoga for its outstanding power as a coiled serpent living in the Muladhara chakra, the first of the 7 chakras. The other 6 are Sisthisthana, Manaparaka, Anahata, Visuddha, Ajna, Sahasrara, all together. All sadhanas as japa, meditation, kirtan, and prayer, and additionally, all development of virtues, and furthermore, the recognition of severities like truth, peacefulness, and self-control, are the best case scenario calculated just to awaken this serpent power and make it to go through all the succeeding chakras, starting from Sisthisthana to Sahasrara, the last generally called as the 1,000-petal lotus, the seat of Sadasiva, or the Parabrahma, or the ultimate isolated, from whom the Kundalini, or the Shakti, lies at Muladhara, and to join with whom the Kundalini walk through the chakras. It presents freedom to the aspirant who industriously practices yoga, or the technique for joining her with her Lord, and gets progress likewise in his effort. In the mind of individuals who lust after the flesh, are given to enjoyment of sensual and sexual pleasures, the Kundalini power sleeps in light of the fact that there is no stimulus in the form of spiritual practices. As the energy produced through such practices alone awakens the serpent power, and no other energy determined through the keeping of worldly riches and affluence. When the intending member seriously practices all the disciplines as stated in the Shastras and as educated by the educator, in whom the Kundalini would have just been awakened and achieved its habitation Sadasiva, which, when procured, favored accomplishment alone, the individual winds up qualified for go about as a guru or spiritual instructor, guiding and helping other people who need to accomplish comparable outcome. The cloak or layers covering Kundalini starts to blur off, lastly are torn, and the serpent power is pushed or driven, as it were, upwards. The arousal or awakening of Kundalini. For there to be an awakening of Kundalini, there is requirement for long training and preparatory disciples in spite of the fact that there is no fixed guidelines to it, and, furthermore, the practice of it varies significantly. Kundalini energy can be aroused through yogic ways for the upward visit along the Brahma Nadi. The individual who is trying such energy should, however, accumulate every one of the capacities and quality available to him. The individual can, however, take up any position he finds most appropriate. At that point, he begins the procedure by which Kundalini is awakened, which is through sense withdrawal, or pratyahara, whereby he concentrates on one point, dharana, until a point that his mental cognizance thoroughly stops. The ability of his energy, however, centers on the inner part to the vital air, prana, which is taken in and sustained in pranayama. It coordinates its circulatory development through Ida and Pingala, down to the least piece of the spine until the part where Kundalini lies coiled. This section of prana achieves a sudden impact, like unexpected ignition in a shut space, and its warmth and sound adds to awake the serpent, control from its meditative demonstrations, yoga nidra. The discipline of psychosomatic direction and breath control add to the commitment of Kundalini yoga to tantric ritual. Pranayama alarms the energy of meditative acts, and tantras lay more accentuation on this strategy. Yoga has, however, built up an orderly method for breathing by keeping up its speed, depth, and rhythm. If it was a normal situation, our breathing is very irregular. Both the exhalation and inward breath are shallow and need agreement. While each individual's respiratory cycle reacts powerfully upon the inactive Kundalini, a reaction that happens around 21,600 times a day, which is at a level pretty much equivalent to the individual's number of breaths. Breath is of little profundity, and past filling the lungs to just a little piece of their ability, providing a current of oxygenate quality streaming downwards to strike Kundalini that is entirely lacking to awaken her. Bream outfits the methods for beneficial interaction between different types of life, and furthermore, amongst presence and awareness. Yoga is concerned to direct biomotor force towards the enlarging of consciousness in the human organism. It is through the means of science of breathing that the body's subtle centers are vitalized. How to know when Kundalini has been aroused. At the time of meditation, you become responsive to divine visions. You witness divine taste, divine touch, divine smell, and hear divine anahata sound, and you likewise get guidelines from God. All these are signs that the Kundalini Shakti has been aroused. At the point when the individual's breath stops without putting any power, when Kanala Kambaki is felt independent from anyone else without putting any effort, it is around then that Kundalini Shakti ends up dynamic. At the point when the individual's hairs remain on their underlying foundations, and Uddiyana, Jadalhandra, and Mulabandha are automatically felt, when there is throbbing in Muladhara, then it ought to be noticed that Kundalini has been aroused. During meditation, the eyes concentrated on Trukti, the center of the eyebrows, when the Shambhaya mudra begins working and the current of prana rising is being felt up to Sasahara, when delight is experienced and Om is repeated automatically, when the individual quits reasoning about the world, at that point, Kundalini Shakti has been aroused. At the point when the vibrations of prana is felt in various parts of the individual's body, and the individual encounters jerks as if shocked by electricity, and furthermore, when a man feels as though there is no one around and the individual's eyelids turned out to be shut and couldn't be opened regardless of applying power, when there is a stream of electric-like current here and there on man's nerves, at that point Kundalini has been aroused. The arousal of Kundalini is additionally be experienced while amid meditation you get motivation and knowledge, and every one of your doubts vanish. When nature uncovers its mystery to you, and you can understand plainly the significance of the Vedic writings, and furthermore, when the body turns out to be light similar to air, and there is an adjusted personality in perturbed condition, and the individual can have boundless energy for work, when you get divine intoxication, when you create energy of oration, when you automatically perform distinctive asanas or postures of yoga without the minimum pain or weakness, realize that Kundalini has turned out to be dynamic. When you create lovely, magnificent hymns and poetry automatically, realize that Kundalini has turned out to be active. Kundalini Yoga. Yoga, as a literal word, originates from the root yuj, which can be translated as join. Nonetheless, in its profound sense, it can be characterized as the process by which human soul is brought into close and cognizant fellowship with, or is associated with, the divine spirit, in accordance as to the nature of the human soul can be said to be not the same as Dvata, Vishtavita, or one of the Advaita, the divine spirit, as indicated by Vedanta. The other recommendation is adequate in light of the fact that yoga is the process by which the identity of Jivatman and Paramatman is acknowledged, and it is acknowledged by the yogin or specialist of yoga. This is made conceivable on the grounds that the spirit has been infiltrated through the veil of Maya, which, as mind and matter clouds this knowledge from itself. This can be accomplished through the yoga process, which frees the jiya from Maya. This has influenced Garen Samata to state, "There is no bound equivalent in strength to Maya, and no power more prominent to destroy that bound than yoga." This process by which Kundalini is being raised, which is called Kundalini Yoga or Laya Yoga, is viewed as physically and mentally of extraordinary advantage all through. Nonetheless, the most noteworthy objective is to initiate the Kundalini to rise to the top of the spine and into the brain. This is said to bring about union with Shakti, divine energy, or Atman, the cosmic self, which is followed by a phenomenal condition of mindfulness and delight. Kundalini Yoga is basically emphasized in Tantric Hinduism, the obscure convention related with the goddess. It is additionally generally practiced in Sikhism. Kundalini Yoga was first introduced to the West through a book called The Serpent Power, written by Sir John Woodruff, an Englishman and the Chief Justice of the Calcutta High Court. Profoundly inspired by the accomplishments of Tantrics he saw in India, Woodruff was initiated into Hindu Tantra and ended up one of the earliest Westerners to transmit Hinduism toward the West. In Los Angeles in the 1960s, Yogi Bhajan conceived Harbhan Singh established the Healthy, Happy, Holy organization, 3HO, which focuses on the ideas and practices of Kundalini Yoga. The practice of Kundalini Yoga centers on raising the Kundalini, or dormant psychic energy, through the body's 7 noteworthy chakras, or focuses of consciousness. The 7 chakras are Muladhara Chakra, base of the spine, Svathana Chakra, close to the genital organs, Manipura Chakra, behind the navel, Anahata Chakra, at the heart, Visuddha Chakra, at the throat, Ahanra Chakra, behind the point between the eyebrows, the third eye, Sahasrara Chakra, the cerebral cortex. Yoga has 4 main forms, and according to a school of thought, they are Mantra Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Laha Yoga, and Raha Yoga. Kundalini Yoga is truly Laha Yoga. There is another characterization, Jnana Yoga, Laya Yoga, Hatha Yoga, and Mantra Yoga. This depends on the possibility that there are 5 parts of other spiritual life, which are Dharma, Kriya, Bhava, Jnana, and Yoga. Mantra Yoga being said to be of 2 kinds to the extent that it is sought after along the way of Kriya or Bhava. There are 7 sadhanas of yoga, in particular Sat Karma, Asana, Mudra, Pratyahara, Pranayama, Dhyana, and Samadhi, which are purifying of the body, seat postures for yoga purposes, the deliberation of the senses from their objects, breath control, meditation, and ecstasy, which is separated into 2 imperfect swakpa, in which dualism isn't entirely overcome, and perfect nirakpa, which is a complete monistic experience. The acknowledgement of the truth of the Mahakva Ahamarahamismi, a knowledge in the sense of acknowledgement which is to be observed, does not deliver liberation, moksha, but rather is liberation itself. The samadhi of Laya Yoga is said to be Svakpal Samadhi, and that of complete Raha Yoga is said to be Nirakpa Samadhi. The importance of Kundalini Yoga. In Kundalini Yoga, it is trusted that the making and supporting of the entire body is really and genuinely joined with Lord Shiva. The yogi spurs Sakti to acquaint him with her Lord. The awakening of Kundalini Sakti and her union with Lord Shiva achieves the state of Samadhi, ecstatic union, and spiritual Anubhava, experience. It is she who gives knowledge, or jhana. Kundalini herself, when awakened by the yogins, accomplishes for them the jhana, brightening. The people who practice Kundalini Yoga believe that it is higher than any other process, and that Samadhi attained is more perfect. Their expressed reason is that Dhyana Yoga, ecstasy, takes place through separation from the world and full mental fixation, driving the variety of mental task, vritti, of the elevating of unadulterated awareness, which can't be obstructed by the impediment of the psyche. The length at which the unveiling of awareness is settled in is dictated by the meditative power, jnana sakti of the sattva, and the degree of separation from the world. In any case, Kundalini is all Sakti and is consequently Jnana Sakti herself, and it offers jhana and mukti when awakened by the yogins. Besides, in the act of Kundalini Yoga, there isn't only a samadhi through meditation. However, the focal power of the jiva conveys with it the types of both body and mind. The association in this sense is guaranteed to be more complete than the one done through methods, as it were. In spite of the fact that in the occurrences of the two cases the body consciousness is lost. In Kundalini Yoga, not only the mind that is lost, but the body also, inasmuch as it is represented by its central power, is really united with Lord Shiva at the Sahasrara chakra. The union that comes out of samadhi produces bhukti, pleasure, which a jnana yogi does not have. A Kundalini yogi has both bhukti, pleasure, and mukti, freedom, in its fullest and exacting sense. This is the reason yoga is asserted to be the preeminent of all yogas. At the point when the sleeping Kundalini is awakened by yogi's kriyas, it powers an entry upward through the distinctive chakras, Shat, Chakra, Veda. It stimulates or energizes them into intense activity. When it begins rising, layer after layer of the brain becomes opened completely. All kleshas, torments, and the three sorts of tapa will vanish. The yogi achieves visions, power, bliss, and knowledge. When it gets to the Sahasrara chakra in the mind, the yogi gets the most extreme knowledge, bliss, power, and siddhis. He achieves the most noteworthy rung in the yogic ladder. He gets impeccably disconnected from body and mind. The 7 chakras in Kundalini. In the awakening process of Kundalini, doubtlessly in a circumstance where there is a spiritual crisis or emergency, the individual associated with this process may want to be restless with the physical challenges that emerge from the process or mental movements that are pushing him to an unfamiliar environment. In any case, what is significant in all of these is to comprehend in this awakening process is that it is erupting and unraveling and creating every one of the progressions amid the process. This experience, however, is best comprehended using the model basic to yogis, and this constitutes chakras, energy vortices, and nadis, flows of energy, and different parts and focuses and brain centers that get engaged with the transformative and developmental changes the individual is terminating. In transformation and spiritual awakening of Kundalini, different esoteric systems see chakras in various colors, with enhanced images and different attributes and abilities to each. In opening to chakra in Kundalini, it is trusted that the yogic science of Kundalini, which is Tantra, is the most helpful example to use in grasping the numerous wonders that emerge in a profound awakening process. It is of a general conviction that there are presumably 50 chakras all through the body, and these are the place the awareness and the energy cross, similar to little wheels of energy holding the undetectable energy field of the individual together. Be that as it may, the most significant of these chakras are said to be in the focal point of the spine. The 7 chakras are clarified underneath. Muladhara. This is a primary chakra situated at the base of the spine, the pelvic floor, and the initial 3 vertebrae. It holds a man into a feeling of having a body, of being an alternate individual, a connection and agreement that spirit is making with existence. There are 3 things that can be meant from this, which are the propensity to dormancy, tamas, activity, rajas, or harmonious balance, sattva. It is in charge of the feeling of safety and security on this earthly journey. The word Muladhara separates into 2 Sanskrit words, mula, signifying root, and adhara, which signifies support or base. Despite the fact that this is the primary process to the awakening of Kundalini, it can't, however, be said that chakra has completely been awakened or has been transformed during this season of awakening. There is requirement for other transformation to be done and for the framework to be prepared to epitomize the spiritual feeling of roomy nearness that a full awakening offers. Swadhisthana. It is delineated as a white lotus, Nelumbo nucifera. It has 6 vermilion-shaded petals engraved with syllables Ban, Ba, Ma, Ya, Ra, and La. Inside this lotus is a white crescent moon, which speaks to the water area managed by the deity Varuna. The seed mantra, situated in the deepest circle, is a moon white Va. It is the sacral chakra in the sacral plexus territory, situated in the lower stomach, in the lower spine, which control development in the legs and pelvis. This chakra is related with the component water, and it speaks to want, joy, sexuality, and multiplication. As we climb the chakra framework, we change from the first chakra, which is strong, shaped earth, to the second chakra, which is fluid, undefined, and regularly evolving water. It is related with the shading orange. The shading orange has the second longest wavelength, 635 nm, and second slowest recurrence, 480 Thz, in the visual shading range. The organs this chakra is engaged with are sexual organs, digestive organ, bring down vertebrae, pelvis, the kidneys, addendum, bladder, prostate, hip territory, the lymphatic framework, all the body liquids. Its splendid highlights show when it is adjusted. The highlights are graceful developments, enthusiastic insight, capacity to encounter joy, swadhisthana, nurture of self, as well as other people capacity to change and solid limits. At the point when the chakra is unreasonable, it comes about into delight enslavement, unnecessarily delicate and forceful feelings, intrusion of others, tempting control, over-the-top connection, passionate reliance. Insufficiency of it prompts poor social aptitudes, coldness, dread of sex, absence of want, enthusiasm, energy, refusal of delight, dread of progress, unbending nature and states of mind, and its physical dysfunctions are sexual dysfunctions, sexual issues, dysfunctions of regenerative organs, spleen, urinary framework, loss of hunger for sustenance, sex, life, unending lower back pain. Manipura. The Manipura chakra is situated in the sun-powered plexus, or the stomach area. This chakra is related with the component fire, and it speaks to will, power, absorption, and confidence, change, and defeating idleness. The first chakra is strong. The second chakra is change and development. At the point when strong issue is rubbed together utilizing development, the outcome is fire and energy. Similarly, as two sticks rubbed together make a fire, it has been known as the fire in the stomach. This fire, or self-discipline, gives us the energy to change, develop, and act in our lives. The physical body needs survival, which is spoken to by the first chakra. The capacity to move and change is spoken to by the second chakra. The third chakra is start and energy to move our bodies energetically. This is the place a man's feelings of an individual character lives. It can likewise be known as the power focus, and it is more inspired by survival and aggregation. The measure of energy here hugely affects absorption, the furious and energy that travels through the organs and all broad mental and physical well-being. It, however, requires investment and, furthermore, self-esteeming to repair any harm in Manipura, and yogis say a true spiritual responsibility can likewise balance out. At the point when there is an appropriate capacity of this chakra in the body, it will be sound, and furthermore there will be lifespan of life. When it is completely awakened by Kundalini, the feeling of a different personality is viewed as fanciful, and there is a major change in how the will, profound instinct, and expectation is experienced. The significant change in a spiritual awakening, and after Manipura is awakened, the Kundalini is never again fall into the lower chakras. Squares in the third focus can prompt low levels of energy, inspiration, low confidence, trouble in setting on choices, and feeling weak. Being stuck in the third chakra makes it hard to push ahead throughout everyday life. The deity of the Manipura chakra is goddess Lakini. Anahata, also known as heart chakra, is the fourth essential chakra, as indicated by Hindu yogic Shakta and Buddhist tantric conventions. In Sanskrit, anahata signifies unhurt, unstruck, and unbeaten. Anahata Nad alludes to the Vedic idea of unstruck sound, the sound of the heavenly domain. Anahata is related with a just tranquility and quietness. It is situated in the focal point of the chest, in the spine parallel to the heart. On the off chance that there could be no failure, misfortune, or pain as we travel through life, the heart chakra may remain open and adoring on the planet. The heart chakra is associated with the mind's innovativeness, the energy about nature and other individuals, sympathy, and compassion. At the point when all these are promptly accessible, the heart chakra is adjusted and open. Amid the opening of the chakra, there might be sound or voices from another domain, hear humming sounds and music of a woodwind, and feel incredible affectability to the sentiments of others. The individual may briefly have perceptive or psychokinetic encounters, or even an ability to recuperate, may likewise wind up disengaged from the things of the world and discover old joys pointless. The psychological indications of blocked anahata energy results in an imbalanced heart, which prompts risky issues, for example, codependence, manipulative practices, feelings of unworthiness, and a failure to believe yourself or others. Vishuddhi. This is the cervical plexus behind the throat and affects throat, ears, and hearing. Shuddhi intends to refine. However, the work here goes past clearing, since when the chakra changes, it conveys one to terms with the alternate extremes and enables awareness to comprehend and acknowledge both the light and dim parts of life. This brings the mind concordance, internal peace, sympathy, and an astute point of view. One starts to understand that all the testing encounters of life are here to show us. On the off chance that there are clairvoyant interruptions, the individual can deal with them with segregation and not end up diverted or overpowered. More prominent inventiveness and knowledge into profound lessons, ecstasy, and a long life are other detailed advantages of awakening this chakra, and in addition to the incidental capacity to peruse someone else's considerations. The divinity of the chakra is Brahma, the creator, the image of consciousness. In meditation, when singular cognizance is broken up in akasha, we accomplish knowledge and wisdom. The creature assigned to speak to Vishuddhi chakra is a white elephant. The Vishuddhi chakra releases a boundless sentiment, satisfaction, and flexibility that enables our capacities and abilities to bloom. Alongside this phase of improvement, there is a reasonable voice and ability for singing and discourse, and also adjusted and quiet considerations. Until the chakra is completely built up, specific troubles might be experienced. Blockage of the Vishuddhi chakra produces sentiments of uneasiness, absence of opportunity, confinement, thyroid and throat issues. There might be physically unwarranted indications of gulping issues and discourse obstructions. Anya, also known as third eye chakra, is the sixth essential chakra in the body. It is a piece of the cerebrum which can be made all the more effective through contemplation, yoga, and other spiritual practices, similarly as a muscle may be. While a man's two eyes see the physical world, the third eye is accepted to uncover bits of knowledge about what's to come. The third eye chakra is said to associate individuals to their instinct, enable them to speak with the world, or enable them to get messages from the past and what's to come. The third eye chakra is an instrument to see the more unpretentious characteristics of reality. It goes past the more physical faculties into the domain of inconspicuous energies. Arousing your third eye enables you to open up to an instinctive sensibility and inward discernment. It is related with the accompanying mental and behavioral attributes: vision, intuition, perception of inconspicuous measurements, and developments of energy. Psychic capacities identified with hypervision and clairaudience, particularly access to enchanted states, light, connection to shrewdness, knowledge that spurs, motivate, and that achieves imagination. Be that as it may, when the third eye chakra is inadequate, it can be obvious in the accompanying zones. feeling stuck in the monotonous routine without having the capacity to look past your issues and set a managing vision for yourself. Overactive third chakra without help from whatever is left of the chakra framework may show as dreams that seem more genuine than reality, liberality in mystic dreams and hallucinations. Not having the capacity to set up a dream for oneself and acknowledge it. Rejection of everything spiritual or past the standard thing. Sahasrara. This is the seventh chakra, settled at the crown of the top. The gift of the chakra is experiencing unity and also the altruistic realization that everything is connected at a basic level. We have a tendency to expertise mystical unity with everybody and everything in nature through the energy of the chakra. It's confirmed that there's no intellectual knowing at the extent of the seventh chakra. However, there's serenity, joy, and deep peace regarding life. You have a way of knowing that there's a deeper, that means of life, which there an order that underlies all of existence. The way of the crown chakra is that the method of going on the far side, the boundaries of your own ego. It's the method of transcending the ego and knowing that every one of creation is interconnected at a basic level. A level that some decision the akasha or zero purpose field or simply the field. This can be the basic level of affiliation. According to Tantric philosophy, the seventh chakra is each a receiver and giver of energy and consciousness. It receives energy to sustain life, and it provides back the private energy to unite with the collective pool of consciousness. The distinctive qualities the seventh chakra possesses are the subsequent. It's the meeting purpose between finite, the body and also the ego, the infinite, the universe and soul. It's the place wherever time and being ran into and wherever death and life eternal meet. The thousand-flower petal chakra embraces an angle of feeling for one's life. When we have a tendency to notice that everything is interconnected, which we are a part of the larger theme of life, we start to measure with feeling, religion, and trust instead of crammed with worry and anxiety. We are radio-controlled by the upper power, and that we feel divinity from among and from while not. The task of this chakra is to deliberate the spirit, hospitable the divine, and, at identical time, keep firmly frozen deep within the ground. When Shiva meets Sakti, consciousness and energy. Among the attributes of chakras, there are two important symbols that represent consciousness and energy. These are referred to as Shiva and Sakti. Shiva symbolizes the masculine principle, whereas Sakti symbolizes the female principle, the activating power and energy. Once a power becomes active, and where energy exists, Sakti is at work. Different words that may be used for these terms are Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is consciousness, and Prakriti is nature. Shiva, or Purusha, is cited as pure consciousness, the unchanging, unlimited, and unswayable observer. Purusha has no wishes whatsoever. There are inherent solely in Prakriti. Purusha is that the empty, clear screen onto that Prakriti projects her vibrant film. Shiva is usually delineated as holding a lance that symbolizes the trinity of Ishwara, Purusha, and Prakriti. Ishwara is described because the present, eternal, formless divine principle. Purusha is that the Atma, and Prakriti is that the manifestation, nature. An electrical lightweight may want to make a case for the connection that exists between them. The electrical current that lightweight may be sourced from is Ishwara. The sunshine is Purusha, and also the object that's illuminated is Prakriti. Shakti or Prakriti means power, movement, change, nature. It's the maternal principle, such as the supplier abundance, as applicable to the kingdom Animalia, yet, because the human kingdom, the mother offers nourished meal, heat, and security for her kids. The mother's love for her is great. She carries and nourishes the kid in her own body. Once the baby is born, the mother provides it with mother's milk and raises it at the sacrifice of her own self till the baby becomes self-directed and might survive severely. When Shiva meets Shakti, there are manifestations of the all-in-one divine consciousness, but are completely different sides of identical coin. The two are ordinarily being depicted as two primal powers and explained as being one half of a single image, as a part representing feminine and also the different male. The one at the left is that the Divine Mother, Shakti, the feminine energy, and also the right aspect is as Shiva, the masculine consciousness. Through the ripping of the aboriginal principle at the arrival of creation, the duality among our lives came into being, beside a powerful force that's perpetually endeavored to reunite with the other part. However, there's generally a misunderstanding of that means of Shakti and Shiva once they are planned severely as man and woman, and their union is considered a relationship. The misunderstanding, but comes once gender and spirituality are mixed. Gender are some things whole natural. It's the union of man and girl, whereas spirituality is that the union of the human and also the divine consciousness. It is only Shiva and Shakti meet that action, movement, and creation will arise. Till the energy is fertilized with consciousness, it's disordered, ignorant, and aimless, and can't see. Meanwhile, once consciousness is given upon energy, produces content, kind, and direction. This additionally applies the other way around, as consciousness alone, while not energy, is dormant power, sleeping energy, and can't cause a modification to something. They each exist along among us because the masculine and female principles. The impact of this on the physical is that it's the explanation for sexual attraction. Man is of course drawn to female qualities, whereas a lady is additionally naturally drawn to masculine qualities. Through this, the masculine consciousness is attracted by the female and the other way around. If each are balanced, there's no sexual attraction. However, if the tendency for the masculine predominates in man or the female in girl, this ends up in a preference for a homosexual partner. Shiva lives within the Sahasrara chakra and Sakti within the Muladhara chakra. Once Prakriti and Purusha unite within the Sahasrara chakra, knowledge, somebody, and also the object of information unite. Once this can be full-fledged, then no want remains as a result of its realized unambiguously that everything that has ever been longed for is carried among. During the state of absolute consciousness, there are not any polarities and thus no additional sorrows. There's solely everlasting joy, unconditional love, unlimited compassion, and total understanding for all living beings. For as long as consciousness is connected to the organic structure, it's unable to stay perpetually within the Sahasrara chakra, then returns to the residence of the Atma within the heart center, Anahata chakra. A realized person continually thinks, feels, and acts from the center. Embedded in eternal love and eternal happiness, that person is usually aware of the immortal Atma, the ocean of Cloud 9, and their consciousness is forever connected to the divine consciousness. Meditation and Kundalini. Meditation is a procedure of cleansing the mind whenever which appears to be quiet to the individual honing meditation. However, the best time for meditation has been for the most part accepted to be at a young hour early in the day. Amid the procedure, a great deal of thought will ring a bell. The appraised contemplations, the appalling, the furious considerations, however enabling those ideas to go by, is what is known as meditation. Amid this minute, it is trusted that every one of the musings that can pass can never enter the individual's subliminal mind, and they won't trouble the individual again. This method of cleansing takes around 3 minutes to get the considerations, and now and again they bug the individual for about 30 minutes. However, in the event that the individual does not move physically, the mind progresses toward becoming. That is the establishment or the start of the thoughtful mind. At the point when Kundalini has sanitized the lower chakras, she ascends into the heart. There is an incredible profound focus here, and when this middle is initiated, unobtrusive encounters and internal refinement happen, and you start to encounter the distinctive inward universes. At the point when Kundalini achieves this level, The heart opens and tons of joy continue emerging inside. There is a lovely light in the heart, which one finds in meditation. In addition, there is a focal point of unadulterated learning there, and when Kundalini starts to work in the heart, information emerges in you unexpectedly. Distinctive powers, for example, clairaudience, perceptiveness, and the energy of recuperate come naturally. Customarily, after the awakening of Kundalini, meditation comes immediately. There is no compelling reason to focus the mind in light of the fact that the Kundalini herself grasps the mind and focuses it in whatever place she thinks about appropriate. As you get further and more profound into meditation, the individual has incalculable, unpretentious encounters. There is a state called Tandra a man can unexpectedly slip into under the motivation of Kundalini. In Tandra, the individual may have dreams of mountains, streams, divinities, holy people, and even different universes. Tandra takes after the condition of rest. However, it is very not the same as the fantasy state. The dreams you have in Tandra dislike mental trips or dreams, but rather are as genuine as the sights you see with your physical eyes. Regularly, the individual may have dreams of occasions in the external world, which end up being valid. Actually, the individual might have the capacity to see the whole universe in the condition of Tandra while sitting in one place with shut eyes. Now and again, you may see the entire arrangement of nerves, veins, and supply routes, and the stomach-related and eliminative tracts in the body in a diverse light, which spreads through all the nadis. You can even observe the prana coursing through them with expanding forces as the purging of the body proceeds. There is a conviction that once the mind begins winding up still and not having any considerations, the individual will feel an incredible comfort. This is, however, exceptionally agreeable with the end goal that the individual will need to do it again and again. This is a continuous procedure, as the individual will most likely be unable to do it for quite a while initially. However, as the comfort is produced, the idea-hitting process ends up shorter. Meditation in Kundalini Yoga contains particular and down-to-earth instruments that deliberately and accurately bolster the mind and guide the body using breath mantra, mudra, and core interest. The range and assortment of meditation systems in the act of Kundalini Yoga is accepted to be remarkable. Yogi Bhajan passed on several meditations customized to particular applications. There are meditations that lessen pressure, take a shot at addictions, increment essentialness, and clear chakras. The inward voyage of Kundalini must be involvement through yoga and meditation. Inside the Sushma are 6 chakras or profound focuses which obstruct the pathway of the Kundalini as it ascends to the Sahasrara. As the Shakti unfurls, all these chakras are punctured. The chakras can't be found through contemplating life structures. The sacred writings clarify the distinctive areas of the diverse chakras: the Muladhara, close to the butt; the Svadhisthana, between the navel and the sexual organ; the Manipura in the navel; the Anahata in the heart; the Vishuddha in the throat; and the Ana in the space between the eyebrows. Preparing to meditate. Before you start to meditate, it is useful to remember the accompanying rules to get the best out of your meditation hone. 1. Relax. Follow this. Do this anxious and unwind exercise to enable you to relax. Breathe in pointedly through the nose with 1 short and 1 long inward breath, a twofold breath. Stress the entire body until the point that it vibrates with vitality. Hold your breath and the pressure for 5 seconds. Breathe out coercively through the mouth with 1 short and 1 long exhalation, twofold breath. As you do, toss the pressure out. Repeat a few times. 2. Pray. Begin your meditation with a petition. This will help you recall why you are contemplating. You will likewise be welcoming the divine or your higher self to help you in your training. 3. Sit still. Moving your body, even somewhat, sends the vitality into the muscles. The goal of yoga is to pull back that vitality internal and upward to the cerebrum. In this manner, any physical development amid meditation will balance your thoughtful exertion. To shield yourself from squirming, endeavor to think about your body as a rock, solid and unmoving. Decline to move for the initial 5 minutes of meditation, and you will find that your body will develop quiet voluntarily. Your physical and mental anxiety will die down the more you sit still. A glass of sloppy water will turn out to be clear in time if it is undisturbed. The same is valid for us. 4. Look up. Your eyes ought to be shut and held relentlessly, looking somewhat upwards, as though taking a gander at a point around a safe distance away and level with the highest point of your head. It is fundamental to keep your look tenderly raised to that point all through your training. This will pull in your spiritual eye and attract the vitality to the most noteworthy spinal focus, the seat of spiritual arousing in the body. The most effective methods to meditate the accompanying is an exceptionally straightforward meditation method you can ace in 5 minutes. 1. Inhale evenly. Inhale delicately, checking to 8. Hold the breath for 8 more tallies. At that point, breathe out gradually to a similar check. Without delaying, breathe in again. Hold, exhale, each the check of 8. This is known as the measured breathing exercise. Rehash it 3 to 6 times. You can fluctuate the tally as per your lung limit, yet dependably keep it square with a mid-inward breath, holding, and exhalation. Complete your training by breathing in profoundly at that point, breathing out totally. 2. Hong Sao technique of concentration. Presently, sit tight for the following breath to come involuntary. When it does, at that point, rationally say Hong rhymes with tune. This time, don't hold your breath, yet breathe out normally. As you do, rationally say Sao rhymes with saw. Hong Sao is an old Sanskrit mantra. A mantra is a word, syllable, or gathering of syllables which can pass on spiritual power when articulated effectively, frequently with reiteration. It signifies, I am he, or I am spirit. Try to feel that your breath itself is quietly making the hints of Hong and Sao. You require not make endeavor to control your breath. Simply watch it as it streams in and out normally. In the first place, you might be generally mindful of the physical indication of the breathing procedure as your stomach and chest grow and contract. As your breath becomes quieter, in any case, attempt to end up mindful of its stream in the nostrils. At that point, step by step, exchange your mindfulness. Increasingly elevate it in the nasal entries. With the eyes shut, turn your look upward to the point halfway between the eyebrows inside your temple. Think there. This is the seat of spiritual cognizance in the body, additionally called the spiritual eye or Christ center. In time, endeavor to feel the stream of the breath close to the spiritual eye inside your brow. Keep your look consistent at the point between the eyebrows all through your training. Try not to enable your eyes to take after the development of the breath. On the off chance that you find that your psyche has meandered, delicately take it back to a familiarity with the breath and the mantra. 3. Sit in the stillness. Complete your routine with regards to Hong Sao by breathing in once through the nose. At that point, breathing out 3 times through the mouth, and after that, overlook the breath. Aggregate profoundly at the point between the eyebrows. Keep your mind centered and your vitality disguised. Assimilate yourself in the peace produced by your training. Proceed for no less than 5 minutes. Complete with a petition to the divine, offering yourself into the light of God. The advanced specialists, technologists, and researchers have not possessed the capacity to privateer this into their machines, since they are excessively unpretentious. A man can just experience them in meditation as the Kundalini climbs the Sushama. How long to meditate? It exclusively relies upon you. Guarantee you sufficiently enable time after the procedure to sit still and appreciate the quiet, reflective state. For new kids on the block, 5 to 15 minutes daily is bounty. However, as you turn out to be more experienced and start, 30 minutes to 1.5 hours will give you a considerably more noteworthy advantage. You can even do this twice every day on the off chance that you so want. Where to meditate. In the event that conceivable, put aside a territory that is utilized solely for meditation. In time, it will wind up soaked with spiritual vibrations. A little room, a side of your room, or even wardrobe can get the job done as long as it is all around ventilated. Attempt as much as you can to keep it basic. All you truly require is a seat or little pad to sit on, and maybe a little sacrificial table. Face the east if conceivable, and put a fleece or silk cover on the floor to protect your body from the unobtrusive attractive streams of the earth. Appropriate meditation posture. As prior exhorted that sitting on a straight, sponsored seat is all right, there are different methods for sitting that are fitting for intercession. You can sit on the floor in any of the few postures with folded legs, half lotus stance, or full lotus posture. Two things in any case are basic. Your spine must be straight, and you should have the capacity to unwind totally without slumping. Sanskrit Samadhi. Samadhi is the ideal association of the individualized soul with interminable soul, a condition of unity, finish, ingestion. It truly signifies to coordinate together, is the state in which the yogi see the personality of the spirit as soul. An ordeal of awesome delight, and in addition of supercognizant observation, the spirit sees the whole universe. It is a thoughtful retention or stupor, achieved by the act of dhyana. In samadhi, the psyche turns out to be still. It is a condition of being absolutely mindful of the present minute, a one-sharpness of brain. Samadhi is a condition of significant and completely absorptive consideration of the absolute that is undisturbed by want, outrage, or some other personality-produced thought or feeling. Samadhi might be achieved through profound, ceaseless, and amend meditation. In this express the three parts of meditation: mediator, demonstration of meditation, the protest of meditation known as God, are at long last joined together. Similarly, as the wave liquefies into the ocean, so too the human soul winds up one with the incomparable soul. Theories and techniques of self-control and meditation. Patanjali set out an eightfold way comprising of helps to yoga: restriction, yama, recognition, niyama, act, asana, control of breathing, priyama, deliberation of the faculties, pritihara, fixation, dharan, meditation, dhyan, and stupor, samadhi. The initial two constitute the moral center of the teachings. The restrictions are restraint from damage, veracity, forbearance from taking, self-control, and restraint from veracity. The observances are neatness, happiness, purification, activities, study, and surrender of the products of one's activities to God. Ais, peacefulness, additionally is celebrated as a morals of separation. Different phrases of samadhi are recognized: the cognizant and the supracognizant, which are subdivided into accomplishments with various shades of flawlessness. In the last stage, every psychological adjustment stopped to be, and the self is left in its unadulterated, undefiled condition of absolute disconnection. This is opportunity, kaivalya, or outright autonomy. Satori is said to be unexplainable, incredible, and indiscernible by reason and rationale. It is tantamount to the experience experienced by Gautama Buddha when he sat under the bo tree, and in that capacity is the focal Zen objective. Satori is undifferentiated from the change, understanding, or spiritual resurrection of different religious conventions in that it constitutes a total reordering of the person in his connection to the universe. Satori, as a rule, is accomplished simply after a time of concentrated readiness, and may happen unexpectedly because of a possibility episode, for example, a sudden commotion. The relative significance of the time of concentrated consideration or the sudden getting through, is weighed diversely by the two noteworthy branches of Zen. The Soto organization accentuates calm, sitting zazen, while the Renzai group commits more regard for the different techniques for realizing an unexpected arousing. The belief in the Kundalini goddess. Kundalini vitality is the heavenly female imaginative power or Shakti vitality. Old history says when the Kundalini Shakti is acknowledged as a goddess, she will ascend through the heart to the head and join herself with the Supreme Being, Lord Shiva. The Kundalini vitality is compared to a serpent resting at the base of the spine until the point that the hotly anticipated require the joining of the manly and the female energies is heard. Some call the Shakti vitality a lethargic life drive. The human climax could give a little thought of this dozing vitality's intense potential. Numerous attempt to actuate this vitality through physical, thoughtful, or stimulating means. This is a risky diversion. In the event that the Kundalini vitality is moved before it is prepared, this capable power could slaughter or debilitate in light of the fact that it would not go through the best possible channels. These channels are called nadis, and there are two of them that keep running from the base of the spine to the highest point of the head. They traverse each different as they weave their move of vitality between the 7 fundamental chakras or clairvoyant focuses of the body. Indeed, even the chakra images recount a story. This vitality is called prana in Sanskrit, its in Mayan, or fundamental embodiment in English. This spiritual liquid goes through the blood. It's considerably more gathered in the semen of men and vaginal liquid of ladies. The 3 knots of Kundalini. Brahmaloka. This is the residence Lord Brahma, the maker god and part of a Trimurti alongside Vishnu and Shiva in Hinduism. Situated on Mount Meru, it is additionally alluded to as Brahmapura or Satyaloka in the Puranas. The word Brahma is regularly utilized as a part of mixes between most elevated and best. Brahmakri, Brahmakasara, or points of interest see Brahma in the New Pali Dictionary. It is expressed that Brahmaloka is the most astounding of the blissful universe a man may accomplish. In any case, Buddha includes that Brahmaloka is ephemeral. Brahmaloka is the most elevated of the heavenly universe, the house of the Brahmas. It comprises of 20 sky to be specific, the 9 standard Brahma universes, the 5 Sudvasa, the 4 Arupa universes, the Asanasata, and also the Vafala. The nature of Brahma Loka is Rajas, which is energetic, extraordinary, or profoundly dynamic. This quality is in charge of servitude through connection to activity and the feelings a practitioner dispatch. Vishnu Loka, Valunikatha, Vaikunth Loka, Vishnu Loka, or Pramanpadam is a heavenly home. Vishnu, who is one of the central gods of Hinduism and the supreme being in its Vishvism custom. Vaikuntha is a residence to him, his partner, the goddess Lakshmi, and other freed souls that have picked up moksha. They are honored with unadulterated delight and bliss in the organization of the Supreme Being forever. Once Kundalini goes past the 3rd chakra, it goes into an alternate world. Vishnu Loka implies Vishnu's world. Vishnu is the part of the divine that manages and looks after life. In the event that you perceive this depiction as the portrayal of the life vitality, prana, you have made the association accurately. The home of prana is in the 4th chakra, the heart, the principal chakra in Vishnu Loka. Vishnu rides the foul Garuda image of the life vitality, which enters the body essentially through the breath, air. The 4th and 5th chakras are in his more unobtrusive universe of vitality related with the astral body. The issues and difficulties of the Vishnu Granthi concern your association with others. While Brahma's reality was the universe of issue, Vishnu's reality is the subtler universe of the vitality. At the point when Kundalini at least goes through the Vishnu Granthi, the sound of the plug flying out of the champagne container might be heard, just this time without the bass drum. It is taken after rather by the sound of the divine music. It is accepted by some that the vina an Indian melodic instrument, was initially made to mimic this sound. Rudraloka. Rudraloka is that the heaven higher than the Brahma Loka. This can be the cloud 9 wherever Lord Shiva resides. It is the dominion sacred to the Lord Shiva, set far off from Brahma Loka. On the proper facet of Rudraloka, there's Vaiku, and on the left facet, there's Hindu deity Loka. Kundalini in kids. Kundalini yoga for kids could be a dynamic and all-embracing apply that empowers, builds, and energizes a stronger body to encounter the planet, all told its surprise. It nourishes the soul, transportation kids to wholeness and a self-belief that connects them with their infinite potential. Why yoga for children? A few years past, that question was possibly asked regarding martial arts. Currently, there are categories for kids at martial arts studios around each corner. And, like martial arts, yoga develops several marvelous qualities in kids. In my opinion, I don't feel that there are limitations upon this quality expressing through kids. In some cases, several kids have several of the symptoms of Kundalini and none of the validation from parental figures for the condition. Therefore, validate their experiences and do your best to recognize the reality. I advise that as a parent, UN agency is in an exceedingly Kundalini method. You create yourself at home with the symptoms of Kundalini waking up. As shortly as you're feeling the kid is human action to you, while not prompting by you, a minimum of 3 of the main symptoms, you start to carefully notify the kid what prospects exist with regards to the Kundalini. The butterfly and therefore the caterpillar are correct, and positive analogies in my humble opinion. Besides the plain advantages of effort, the build, each yoga and martial art sharpen the child's ability to focus, offer self-assurance, and develop self-discipline. And yoga, practiced often, helps kids become alert to themselves from the within out. From this awareness, changes and growth in new and positive directions will blossom. Children are therefore contemporary and unhampered by the dictates of society. Their approach to life is exclusive, and yoga encourages their creativeness to flow, their fears, anger, and unhappiness to release their trust within the inner self to shine, their minds and hearts to be in sync. Kids are capable of way more than we predict they are, and if given the proper surroundings, they'll stand out on the far side our belief. Some identified benefits of using Kundalini yoga with children. Emotional health. The kid becomes a lot of alert to however they feel through the yoga, breath, and relaxation. They discover, however, they'll go through feelings into a lot of positive house. Physical health and well-being. Your kid gets up off the couch, far from the table, and moves his or her body rather than moving fingers over a keyboard or phone. Brain tune-up. Kundalini Yoga has such a large amount of brain-balancing exercises that activate meridian points to awaken the brain for a lot of whole brain result. This interprets into clarity, ability to be told and perceive teachers, sensible physical and mental coordination. And the biggest good thing about all could be a joyful life, something we are all eager to experience. Kids acquire life as joyful beings. Therefore, allow us to keep them that method. Summary. In summary, Kundalini is associate degree in probably powerful deposit of need, typically referred to as Sakti, symbolized as a convoluted, sleeping serpent, lies dormant at the bottom of the spine. Kundal suggests that curl. Once woke up, it uncoils and ascends through the central channel within the vertebral column, Sushumna, to the crown chakra, Shasahara, at the highest of the pinnacle, triggering associate degree, waking up consciousness, and a transcendent, non-secular state. Put essentially, the vitality of Kundalini is known for its transformative power during the time spent self-advancement and otherworldly improvement. In the Hindu custom where these ideas, as we as of now know them, originate from, Kundalini awakening is both a procedure and a target for profound improvement. It prompts the association of individual awareness and vast and divine cognizant. The idea of Kundalini is therefore regularly depicted uniquely in contrast to one content or convention to another, and seems obscure for the learners and propelled practitioners alike. We should include the substance lost in interpretation from old writings, and, in addition, social contrasts, and we wind up with a thought wrapped in secret and individual stories as interesting as some of the time terrifying. By and by, it's imperative to endure at the top of the priority list that this indispensable power is a characteristic marvel taking an interest in our advancement in different degrees, relying upon our inclinations during childbirth, preliminary work and practices, and our life conditions. Kundalini suggests that in keeping with Zina, see unagency is hidden, and points to the dormant immortal in each human being's body. Even though the Kundalini force can be found in Muladhara Chakra, she hypnotizes humans like Maya herself and renders them slaves to the elusive. Kundalini will solely awaken folks if she travels up on the spine, Zina Shrek. Finally, Kundalini stands for three main objectives: to improve the cleansing method endlessly. Once it's woke up, Kundalini can begin doing the cleansing method 24 hours every day. Energy, which will cleanse the ideal, the event of major chakras, while not the assistance of Kundalini energy. It's tasking to cleanse the inner, a part of your chakras. To unite the practitioner, micro aspect, to the identity, macro aspect. To be ready to come to divine supply as an entire, Kundalini energy provides the bridge to unite the practitioner with the oneness. Thanks again for buying my book. If you have a minute, please leave a review. I take reviews seriously and always look at them. This way, you are helping me provide you better content that you will love in the future. A review doesn't have to be long, just 1 or 2 sentences and a number of stars you find appropriate. Hopefully 5, of course. Also, if I think your review is useful, I will mark it as helpful. This will help you become more known on Amazon as a decent reviewer and will ensure that more authors will contact you with free ebooks in the future. This is how we can help each other. This has been Kundalini, Healing, Awakening, Yoga, and Meditation Secrets, written by Stephanie White, narrated by Kip Ferguson. Copyright 2018 by Stephanie White. Production copyright 2018 by Stephanie White.